Good morning and welcome to AM Muscle Maintenance with InShape Fitness. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is called The First Monday in January. It was just a week ago today that we were still in 2018. It was the last day of the year and we were about to begin 2019. So you've had 6 days to get started, but today is the first Monday in our work week for the year of 2019. So how are you doing so far? I know you might have set a couple of New Year's resolutions. I talked about them a little bit last week for myself. I'll talk about them a little bit more as well today, but this Monday is the opportunity for you not only to kick off your first Monday and to sort of recalibrate your Mondays, which is what one of the really good things about Mondays is for the work week and for your health goals. You get Monday to start fresh after the weekend, hopefully, and you get a chance to just think about what you're planning to do for the week. And so we're also going to talk a little bit today about New Year's resolutions as a whole and how to sustain yourself through the long haul of the year if you want to achieve those goals that you set when you chin-chained your friends on New Year's Eve. So let's get started with a postural systems check. The podcast itself will take about 15 minutes. We're going to do 5 exercises together. The postural systems check is not one of them, but we're going to do an exercise that focuses on your balance. We're going to do an exercise that focuses on your core. We're going to do some work on your flexibility, mostly spine flexibility, but we'll do a little bit with your hips, and we're going to get your heart rate up a little bit. So let's get started with that postural systems check, where you take a deep breath in through your nose and then deeply exhale through your mouth. Now, believe it or not, if you're not standing up and actually doing the moves and just thinking about and sort of educating yourself about the exercises that you can do, which is perfectly fine, your diaphragm, when you're doing these deep breathing cycles, when you engage your lungs fully and deeply breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth, you actually are working a muscle. There's a muscle at the bottom of your lungs that contracts and expands as you inhale and exhale. It triggers other muscles, deep, small muscles, but deep muscles that are really important, that line your spine as well as your rib cage. So you're inhaling deeply. You really want to fill up your air, your lungs with air, your oxygen that's going into your body through your nose, and then you bellow. I love that word, bellow the carbon dioxide, the waste gases out through your mouth. Now, with the postural components, I always start with the breathing with postural systems check, because deep breathing tends to straighten up your body automatically. And now I want you to turn on your brain and think about some of the important the checkpoints within your posture that are really significant. The first is your head. And of course, you want to make sure that you're gazing forward, that your eyes are open, that you're aware of your surroundings. But more than that, you want to think about the position of your head. A lot of people tend to crane their necks forward a little bit, and that is due mostly to devices and to driving, to looking at a screen or looking at the road ahead, because you're, sort of anticipation and eagerness to know what's going on, it's just like sort of this natural thing that people want to do. Plus looking down to your iPhone or your laptop or whatever. So you want to make sure that you get your head back. And that means that your ears and your shoulders line up straight. Just take a second to think about that. It actually helps in so many ways to position your head in this manner, to think about the head position, and to maybe do a postural systems check 3 or 4 times during your workday, so that you make sure that you don't pull on the muscles in the back of your neck and you don't collapse and flex, involuntarily flex the muscles on the front of your neck. Moreover, it affects the quality of your breathing and of your digestion if you're looking down as you're eating. And the head is your ballast in terms of your movement. So it actually affects the way that you walk and the way that you jog or bike or whatever if you're exercising. if your head is not in the right position. All right, so more on that later. The next thing that we're going to talk about a little is your shoulders. You want to push those shoulders back, because if your shoulders are rounded, again, similar effects to our modern lifestyles with our arms really like in front of our body all the time, whether we're typing on a keyboard or typing on a phone or driving a car, holding a steering wheel. Our shoulders tend to be rounded forward. You want to push them back. That opens up your chest, further enhancing that important respiration. Then think about your pelvis and the position of your lower back relative to your hips. Because as you sit, if you're sitting right now, in fact, stand up for just a second and think about the position of your pelvis. Put your hands on the top of your pelvis bone on either side, and then sort of tuck in your tailbone and then stick your butt out, and then tuck in your tailbone and then stick your butt out, and sort of think about that variation in the tilt of your pelvis. And there is a curvature of your spine, but if it's too pronounced, your butt sticks out more, and that pulls on your hip flexors and contracts the muscles in your lower back in a way that's not healthy for your body as well. All right, the last thing I want you to think about is your leg position and your foot position. You want to make sure that your feet are straight. You don't want your toes to turn out, which people sometimes do to enhance their stability. We're going to talk about balance in just 1 minute, because that's the first exercise we're going to do. And it is an exercise that you don't need exercise clothes for. It's a total misnomer by these big companies that want you to change from whatever you're wearing to something special for movement of the body, and you don't need to do that. We're not going to get a huge sweat on here where you need to take a shower after you do 5 exercises. It's just not sustainable or realistic, or who cares anyways, right? So just focus on the fact that these small exercises, they're going to boost your cellular respiration, get your body, your blood flow and your oxygen levels flowing around and more efficient during the period of time that you're awake. It's going to help you rest better. It's going to boost your metabolism, and you're going to feel better knowing that you've done something small. So the position of your feet is important, because if you turn out your toes, you disengage certain muscles in your legs, and you are overemphasizing the strength of other muscles. The last thing for the postural systems check, and I know we're already 8 minutes here in, I want to get you moving now, is to make sure that your right leg and your left leg have the same amount of pressure exerted on them. So, and that has to do with your right-handedness or left-handedness mostly, but it also could have to do with your injuries that you've sustained over the course of your lifetime in terms of whether you favor a leg or the other. So just think about that. Now, the move for balance is the move that I love the most, which is really easy and really stable. It's called the lighthouse. And essentially, you extend your arms out to the sides so that the arms are parallel to the floor and your palms face down and your fingers are splayed. And I only splay the fingers. I just encourage people to open up their fingers whenever they get into this position for flexibility through the fingertips. Wiggle your fingers a little bit. It's really nice to just open up the fingers. Again, with our sedentary lives, because we don't use our hands all that much, tissue inertia happens. The stasis is significant, and you feel that when your fingertips get numb easily, or if you get stiffness in your fingers in the mornings after you wake up. So you stand up real tall, and now what we're going to do is turn your head. And the only part of this move is turning your head all the way to your right and all the way to your left. Now, if you've begun this whole endeavor here by standing up from your desk or wherever you are, and your feet are next to each other, and you want to, if you turn your head from right to left, you might feel a little bit off balance, but if you want to feel a little more off balance, there are variations in your foot position, and that is the key to this exercise. You vary the way that your feet are placed on the floor in order to destabilize your body's center of gravity, and thus force, when you turn your head, you force the ancillary, the small sort of support muscles, to isometrically contract more in order to stabilize your body in the position, the standing position. So if your feet are right next to each other and you feel a little off balance, that's fine. You can stagger your feet close to heel to toe or more than heel to toe, and that helps really send you off into a little bit of instability land. So be careful if you begin to move your feet. Just make sure that you are careful. And you also want to make sure that whatever you do with the right foot to the rear, you swap the feet position and exert the same movement with the left foot in the rear. All right. And then as you get a little more stable, we could even try this on one leg or try it in a lunge position to make it more complicated. So this we call the lighthouse. It's a really important ingredient in almost every single exercise that I do with clients in New York City. It is a really easy thing to do, and it's something, again, that you can do every day. You can do it in your office. You can do it anywhere. And I do it on the subway, in fact. Not on the subway moving, but on the subway platform, okay, in New York City. All right, next we're going to get a little bit of your heart rate up, and we're going to work the legs a little bit as we get things moving along here. I want you to do just a couple of standard squats to interact with gravity, which is a really easy way to get your heart rate up. So you plant your feet shoulder width apart, sit down and back into an imaginary chair. You want to be really careful that your knees don't go past the tips of your toes. And you're not going to do this for very long. We're going to not even count the number of repetitions, but rather take about 30 to 40 seconds to sit and stand. And when you stand up, the most important thing to do, and this is the case whether you're standing for exercise or simply standing up out of a chair at the dinner table, you squeeze your butt cheeks and press your heels into the floor and try not to lean your trunk too far forward so that your center of gravity remains stable as you lift up. And that means that you're contracting the muscles that are supposed to be contracted when you lift your body up from the seated position. It's not just your quads at work here. You're using your glutes, and you're stabilized by muscles on the sides of your legs. So you want to make sure that everybody is taking part, not just those bully quads that are on the front of your thighs. All right. So now that's been about 30 seconds. The next thing I want you to do is squat all the way down and get into a plank position on the floor. No good workout excludes a plank or something in a plank position. One of my favorite things to do in the morning is push-ups, and the reason I love push-ups every single day is because it gets your heart rate up. And again, you can do some push-ups if you want here, but if you're just holding a static plank, you're activating all of those core muscles that are really, really vital, not just to the stability of your physique in terms of the way you look and the weight of your body and the sort of slim, or desired slimming of your body, but also the support that's needed for your vital organs, for the functioning of your body. So the plank is really critical, and we do these, once again, we do them in every single workout. So now we've done 3 exercises. Literally, that's it. We did a postural systems check, we did the lighthouse, we did some squats, now we did a plank. All right, now what I want you to do is turn your body over, bend your knees and put your feet on the floor and lift into a bridge. Another tried and true exercise. There's nothing is, these are the usual suspects. Clearly, the key, of course, is to doing some of this every single morning and to learn how to adapt the moves so that you can build additional effort in as your body gets more stable and more or stronger, more fit. So you're in hip bridge now. That means that you have your hips lifted into the air, your arms are beside your body, palms facing down, and your feet are straight. Once again, you don't want to turn out your toes. You also want to make sure that your toes stay planted on the floor with the rest of your foot. Oftentimes, I see toes come up off the floor when people get into bridge. And that has to do with, I call them bully muscle groups, because the back and the quads tend to they're like, hey, we got it. We're already overworked. Let me just handle this move. But you don't want that to happen. When your toes are on the floor and your body is stable, you will feel your glute and your hamstrings engage as well. And if you don't feel it, lift up your heels and just push the balls of your feet and your toes down into the floor. And you'll know for sure that you're exercising the back of the leg and your butt, which are parts of your body that need the work. Okay, so that's your hip bridge. So now we've done lighthouse, squat, plank, hip bridge. Last move, we're going to just go for it here. We're going to do some burpees. All right, I'm going to say goodbye as I have you start doing a couple of burpees. And I call the walking burpee a burpita because it sounds a little more fun and it's fun to say. And burpees are hard to do and have this really bad reputation. As soon as you say the word burpees, people are rolling their eyes and, they have really just a lot of disdain for that exercise because it is really, really hard. It's a short interval but high output exercise. But if you squat all the way down and instead of jumping your feet back, you walk your feet back. And then walk your feet back into the squat and then stand all the way up. All right, so those are burpitas. And of course, you can do the walking or the jumping burpee, of course, as well. And you are certainly free to add in the push-up in the middle, add in the jump at the end, however you want to make the adaptations work for your body. And again, that is one of the most important components to something that is sustainable for you every single day, because it does matter what you do every single day. Now, my goal, I said in the introduction that I was going to just talk a little bit about my goal. I think I might have written this even in the summary, the writing part of the summary for the workout, that I turned 50 this year, which is true. I am turning 50 years old in the middle of this year. And that means that I wanted to be pretty specific about some of my own goals. I've got one book that is being edited right now that's going to be published this year. And I'm writing a second book right now. So my goal is 2 books, 2 marathons, and then some other things that don't really relate to fitness. But my 2 marathons are going to take place, one in May. I haven't signed up for it yet, but there's one in May along the eastern seaboard. And then one I'm going to do sometime close to the New York City Marathon. But I don't run the New York City Marathon anymore because I coach it. So, but those are my 2 big things that I'm doing this year. So I have been accumulating my miles here in the month of January so far, like a good runner that I am, and keeping myself healthy along the way with lots of other exercises. And I'll be back next week with another new episode of AM Muscle Maintenance. If you have any questions, get in touch with my team at bodybyInShape.com. Have a great day.